Warning: the views and opinions expressed in this program are our own and/or those of our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of our employers. Viewers' discretion is advised.
The dirty secret about this game is that it's actually not that hard to produce.
You got to surround yourself with the people you want to be.
I try to work backwards. So if I want to close 40 million, I'm like, all right, how much has to get approved if I want 40 million to actually hit the closing table? And then if I want X amount to get approved, how much do I need to submit into underwriting?
I do have a question for you, Mary. So in your experience, is there a difference between how female BDOs versus male BDOs are expected to manage work-life balance?
Oh, gosh.
Promise I'm not being petty. I'm the one they envy, Brody, moving state to state. Make $1 million out the semi, plus I grinded from the start. I was stacking pennies, I might dip like Machiavelli. After the confetti, who ready? We ready? Who ready? We ready? Who ready? Who? We ready? Who? Who ready? Who? We ready? Who? Who ready? We ready? Who ready? We ready? Who ready? Who? We ready? Who? Who ready? Who? We ready? Who?
I'm rocking my Detroit Marathon shirt. I'm running it this Sunday.
Nice. How are your shins?
My shins do very, very well. It's my tibia that I fractured last year when I did Berlin. That's been acting up.
Well, don't forget about your quadriceps are so big that you have a hard time buying jeans. Let's not forget that.
That's actually a true story. I can't fit in skinny jeans. No, my it looks weird because I've got really big calves. my cross country team makes fun of me all the time for the massive size of my calves.
Is it like the 60 plus, or is this your daughters?
No, these are my cross country team.
Oh, I didn't know if you were in like a separate running team that was like 60 plus. Hey everyone, welcome back to the BDO Show, a podcast for passionate BDOs wanting to level up their game with advice and stories from battle-tested BDOs. I'm your co-host, Emily Detour, and I'm here with my fellow co-hosts, Alan Peterson, Chris Hackney, Sterling Birdsong, and Ryan Kroge. At the beginning of each episode, we're always going to remind you to smash that like button, subscribe, share with your friends, and send over your topic and suggestions to the BDO Show at artofsba.com. Okay, BDOs, it's story time. And no, I am not talking about the time Sterling tried to finance a zoo. You'll have to go back to episode 3 for that. I'm talking about the story that your borrower has in their head, and they may need that extra boost to finally get it onto paper. Rapid Business Plans is a known and trusted partner that can help them do just that. Whether your borrowers are working towards acquiring a business, starting one up, or expanding and making moves, within just a few short days, Rapid Business Plans will deliver powerful, fast, SBA and USDA ready business plans with projections and assumptions. If they need an export business plan for an ITL loan or a feasibility study, they have you covered there too. We know this process is not a walk in the park, or should I say zoo. Let the Rapid Business Plans team take some of the wild out of the process so that your borrower's vision and passions can come to life. For more information or to get acquainted, email Bethany McClellan at bethany@rapidbusinessplans.com or click the link in the show notes. Today, we have a super special guest, somebody that we've been begging to be on our show for almost a year now. She's joining us from New Jersey, I believe. I believe she's in New Jersey. As you very well know, we have Mary the Goat Soldano on our episode today. So everybody, welcome Mary. Nice to have you here.
Hi, Mary.
No one knows
It's an honor
Mary.
to be here. It's nice to meet you all.
Hello,
She's
Mary.
very nervous. It's a full house. No, she's not nervous. She's going to crush it. Mary, tell us a little bit about how you got started as a BDO, maybe some background, family, what you like to do, hobbies, even though we all know, but let everybody else know.
Yeah, been doing SBA for a little under 10 years now. Started a nonprofit doing the baby version, 7A, the CA loans, mostly just in Philadelphia and Southern New Jersey. Then relaunched the 7A program in a small community bank. And then I found Ray through the art of SBA lending and was on his team and couldn't have a better job since.
And you've got a family, right?
Yes. 3 boys.
I love that. Well, listen, today's episode, we are going to be focusing on managing the numbers game in SBA lending and how many deals you look at versus how many get approved. And then we're also going to put a spin of maintaining a healthy work-life balance on there. All right, Mary, we're going to throw you right into it. How do you balance the demands of SBA lending with family responsibilities, and what strategies have worked best for you throughout the years, especially with your growing family that you've done over the last couple of years?
Yeah, well, and some of the guys on here know it too. You family guys, every parent, you have to be extremely focused during your hours of work. Can't do anything else. So I know when my kids are being taken care for, whether they're at school or they're with the nanny, I know right now our hours are a little weird. From 7 to 3, I am laser focused on work. And I've even deleted all social media off my phone. There's no time to scroll because when the kids come home, I am on mom duty and I have to figure that out.
Mary, what I heard you say that I thought was interesting was laser focus. And that reminds me of our mutual friend Shem, who I believe actually wrote in. Is that correct, Emily?
Yeah, he did. Shem Dupay, Laser Eyes wrote in, and anybody who wants to look him up on LinkedIn, you'll go see those laser eyes firsthand. He said, as a new BDO, because we all know he got his promotion this week. So as a new BDO, assuming you're grinding it out and following all of the advice of the show, calling brokers, knowing how to structure a deal and getting it approved, etc., what would each of you say is a reasonable time frame to get from 0 to 1? How many months of grinding and prospecting is typical for you to start seeing the fruits of your labor and can assume you're on the right track?
So I think what he's saying is that, for new BDOs who walk in the door, who essentially have never been a BDO before, and you're put out on the sales floor, when do you go from 0 to 1? How long does it take you to find a deal, get it all the way through the process, and actually get one on the scoreboard? And I think that the answer to that, in my mind, should probably be about 6 months. If you don't have anything cooking, at least, and really when I say cooking, it should be pretty close to the finish line. If you don't have something at least deep into the underwriting process by 6 months, most likely there's something wrong with your approach to the market. Doesn't mean that you're a bad BDO, doesn't mean that you're never going to be a successful BDO in the future, but you are doing something wrong in this very moment, and that needs to be corrected. So you need to look at your process, look at the way that you spend your day, look at the way that you outbound call on people who could potentially send you deals, and you need to figure out what's wrong with your approach and why have you not gotten any traction in the market yet, and then you need to be able to adjust. I can tell you the dirty secret about this game is that it's actually not that hard to produce. That's just the truth, is that people make it sound like it's harder, but I think sometimes people make it sound that way because maybe they don't want competition. Maybe they're just trying to scare you. Maybe they want to kind of keep this a secret that all of us know, but you don't know. But the real thing is that once you actually dive in the deep end, if you actually do the work, I haven't seen anybody who has done the work and hasn't been successful at this. But I've seen a lot of people who don't do the work and then they expect, and then they're surprised when they're not successful.
And that's the key, Sterling. You got to do the work, and you got to hitch your trailer to a horse, a good horse, a pedigree, someone, a BDO that's been doing this for a long time, that can show you the ways, introduce you to people, take you to the right functions, steer you into the right direction. Because you can't just jump out the frying pan and go right into the fire on your own. That's just a recipe for disaster. Most will fail, they'll get burnt out, and they'll never come back into the industry again. The best way to do it is when you get onto the floor, get with a good team of senior BDOs or good producing BDOs, and just learn. Sit and learn. And it's going to take you a good 6 months before you get your first deal in and get it to closing easily, like Sterling said. You got to surround yourself with the people you want to be. All right? I mean, it's an old saying. You want to be successful, surround yourself with successful people. You want to be smart, surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. It's the best way to get things done. And it's the best way to grow.
Luckily for Shem, I mean, he had people like Mary, Ray, Ryan, people like Don Jackson at Truliant SBA Lending, all these people in his corner, like, you can do this, you got this, and we're going to teach you and coach you, and all the underwriters, all the back office, our tribe that we like to call him. So he's definitely in good hands, and I'm excited for him.
Can you guys see this? Who you surround yourself with matters. Can you see that? I posted this today.
That's so Ryan Kroge of you, and I love it, Sterling. I love it.
Alan's like, what is that?
It's an orange that's rotten, and it's rotting the orange that's next to it.
Yes.
And it says, who you surround yourself with matters. And this is the type of content you can get if you follow sterling.sba on Instagram. So go ahead and do that if you haven't yet.
Also for Shem, you got to have at least a couple looks in 90 days. One thing I would advise, sometimes I think new BDOs are kind of scared to share deals with their leadership. They want that perfect deal or the strongest deal or the largest deal. They don't say anything, and you're just like, wait, I hired this guy 4 months ago, and you haven't heard a single word or haven't looked at a file with him. That's a problem. So make sure you're at least sharing deals with your sales manager, whoever your team lead is, to look at some opportunities and get some coaching.
That's confidence too. Sometimes I feel like in that first 90 days, you should definitely have a term sheet out, but there's this, there's this fear that you have in the beginning where you don't want to look stupid, like let's just call it what it is. You might be a little embarrassed, but you have to remember that, your team put you in that position for a reason. So share as much as you can with leadership and people above you or people that have been doing it longer than you or people that can give you actionable advice and feedback. Because if you just keep it to yourself, you are really hurting yourself and your own ability to learn something and to grow a little bit. So, just lead into it and be vulnerable. That's what you should be in the beginning.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question, especially when it comes to SBA, the SOP, every bank interpreting it a little bit differently too. And I think you guys have probably talked about this before. If you're talking with a referral source or a customer and you don't know the answer, be honest about that. Don't BS an answer just to seem like you know what you're talking about. Say, you know what, let me check with my colleagues. Let me get back to you. They're going to trust a for sure answer so much more than they can smell BS if you're saying it.
Mary, did you ever get burned on something like that before?
Yeah, early on, I think this was probably like maybe 8 years ago. This was during doing community advantage lending though, so not 7A. But just speaking out of turn of like what I thought the term was going to be with a commercial real estate deal. I remember physically going in. We were in an actually African grocery store down in Southwest Philadelphia. And I was like, yeah, we can totally do a 30-year term on this. And they were like, what? Are you sure? And then thankfully that night I called my mentor who was like taught me everything, Lynn Ozer, and she was like, no, it's 25 years, 25. And so we were able to then get it done for them. But it is very important to always like go back to your sources of who taught you things too. Never lose those relationships.
And another thing is, I know Shem has, what does he have, 2 or 3 kids at home too? So this is
He's
like
3. He's part of the 3 club too.
So this is a great episode for this work-life balance and how prioritizing, the demands of SBA lending and your family and everything else you have going on, or whether you have a family or not. I had a question I was thinking about. It's like, how do you handle the numbers game in SBA lending, like managing your deals and how many you look at in a day, week, versus a month to get approved with everything else you have going on in your life?
I try to work backwards. So if I want to close 40 million, I'm like, all right, how much has to get approved if I want 40 million to actually hit the closing table? And then if I want X amount to get approved, how much do I need to submit into underwriting? No one has 100% what you get submit into underwriting gets approved. Some of us here probably have 98% of those deals, right? Because we're really vetting them out in the front end. And that means how many term sheets do you have to get signed? How many term sheets do you have to give out? Does every single one of your term sheets get signed? So you basically work backwards from that percentage. So like, for example, this past year, if I want to get to 45 million by the end of this year, that means a minimum of 2 term sheets have to go out every single week. If I'm sitting there Friday and 2 term sheets didn't go out that week, there was something I messed up that week. I didn't work hard enough. I didn't push something somewhere. And then that means the next week I got to send out 4.
Just to kind of expound on that a little bit, I was just looking at my HubSpot and I recognized that I had to put in 3 deals in HubSpot basically to close 1. Is essentially what it kind of breaks down to. So if I actually get as far as creating a deal in HubSpot, which usually for me, everyone kind of is different in the way they approach their CRM. With me, I usually put a deal in once I know it's real. So I usually don't do anything until I think I'm actually going to term sheet it. So essentially, let's just say that I'm putting out 3 term sheets and I'm closing on 1. One's actually making it to the finish line. And that's what I've seen essentially over my entire time of being here, because it kind of tracks back to when I joined this bank. So, for every deal I seriously contemplate moving forward with, or for every 3, then 1 will actually make it to the finish line, actually close and fund. So again, like Mary said, she puts out 2 a week, in term sheets. And so, you're closing what, like 0.7 of those essentially is what it kind of breaks down to. So yeah, it is a numbers game. And so you have to be comfortable knowing that, you're going to talk to a lot of people, you're going to look at a lot of deals, you're going to say no a lot. And then the ones that you get to say yes to, half of those still probably not going to close. That's just the truth.
You're going to be new too. So you're new, you're an unproven commodity. So the referral sources you are talking to, they haven't built that relationship with you yet. So you're at the bottom of the list for them because they're going to go to the BDOs that they have that relationship with first. All right. If they have a BDO to go to. If not, you're going to have to prove, since you're so young in the position, why they want to bank with you, why they should go with you. You have to gain that trust. It's a little different when you're coming on for the first time, as opposed to have been doing this as long as a lot of us here on the show have been doing it. And for me, it really is geographically, it really depends on where it is. My local guys, I know as soon as I get a term sheet out to them, it's done. It's going to close. I got a 99% chance that thing is flipping and it's closing, just because the majority of the guys around here in this market I've known for probably close to 20 years. And even those that I've known for about 10 years, I know when they send me a deal, I've got the first look, I've got the only look, and I flip them a term sheet, it's done. Outside of Michigan, outside of Southeast Michigan, man, it's like the wild, wild west for me. It's just crazy out there with how much competition there is. You're going to be surprised on the stuff you hear other BDOs say. That's just not true. That's just straight up lying. They're doing anything they can to get that deal off the street. And honestly, it's pathetic, but that's just the reality you're going to have to deal with. Just be a straight shooter, tell the truth, be honest, and that's going to carry your reputation. Because those other guys that are out there doing whatever they can, had happened this week. One of the top SBA producers in the entire country lost a $3.7 million acquisition deal to them because they promised the sun, moon, and stars. I know this bank very well, extremely well. I knew they couldn't do it because of the size of the airball. I know their regional credit officer was going to kill it. So they wasted almost 2 months going through the process. Their RCO killed it immediately. They came back to me and I welcomed them with open arms, and I'm processing it through underwriting now. So you got to know your market, got to know your competition, and know your referral sources. It's strictly important. You can't miss a beat.
Yeah. And do you guys feel like the longer we do this, the better those percentages get, right? So like, okay, I'm setting out this term sheet, you're going to sign it. This one is a sure to close thing. And that's also back to managing our time. Like I'm focusing more on what's my certainty of close SBA deals? I'm going to focus on those rather than these ones that's like, yeah, this would be nice to close. The focus on those certainty to close.
It's interesting too. It's like other stuff can happen too. Like when you're between approval and closing, let's not forget about that. Like, so, I've decided to really niche down and stick with it. Like, so I'm passing on anything right now that's not a business acquisition, a partner buyout, or a rent swap CRE deal. When you're doing a lot of business acquisitions, you run into all sorts of stuff with buyers and sellers and purchase agreements and due diligence and quality of earnings reports and findings and all of this stuff where you might have a commitment letter and you might not close that loan. And that's something that I have looked at a little bit critically of my own, transparently, because when if I was banging a debt refi, that's going to close every time. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to walk away from the closing table on a working capital request. It's just not going to happen. So it's kind of like a little bit of a difference and a drawback, but it's what I really like to do and what I'm good at. So I stick with that. But there's certainly a delta, even my year to date, with approved loans to close and funded loans. Granted, I still have a lot in closing and should end the year pretty strong, but it stinks when you see that delta, because every time you see a commitment letter, I don't care how long you've been doing it, it gets exciting. And I start thinking about getting the loan closed, and there's still variables because there's a lot of human beings involved. That's the real thing. It's just so many moving parts in this world that we're in. So even like when you talk about the term sheet to approved loan is great. Approved loan to closed loan is still another jump that we need to identify and try to be as efficient and as good as we can in pre-close checklists, making sure purchase agreements are in order before we get too far down the line. There's things that we do to increase that probability, but there's still things outside of our control, regardless of how long you've been into it. So it takes a lot of effort, and it always is going to take a lot of top funnel, even if you niche down, even if you say no frequently, even if you pass on paper, which is the golden rule for a lot of production, to be honest. In my view, the biggest secret is the more you say no, the more money you make. It's that simple, right? But it's definitely an interesting world, but it takes a lot of top funnel, at least for me to maintain the level of production that is where I'd like to be and where I like to feel comfortable at.
And Al, you just made a really good point as well. It also depends on your specialty, right? If you specialize, and like you said, because of your volume, because of how well you've put yourself out here and how long you've done it, you've really narrowed down to the type of deal that you want to see because you want to specialize in that type of transaction. I do the same. I specialize in a certain industry. Even though I do generally just about anything, when I see a specific industry, anything in the food and beverage, whether it's hospitality, retail, or service, I know it. It's like, autopilot for me. I can jump in, know the good, the bad, the ugly, dissect it within a second. And I've got a reputation out there that even if there is competition, they'll look at me and say, you know what, I can maybe save money here and there, but I know Krogi knows this industry. He's going to get it done. And knowing your competition in that industry as well, sure, go ahead, take it to another bank. I'll take the Pepsi challenge any day of the week because I know I'm going to get it done. They're going to fall flat and do the old bait and switch by the time it gets into underwriting. So have confidence, know your industry, and know your competition.
You just said the Pepsi challenge. Okay.
The Pepsi challenge.
I forgot
do you
about
want me
the
to
Pepsi
drop-
challenge. No,
You forgot about the Pepsi challenge?
You might have just dated yourself, but you never do that.
I didn't even think about that being older. I thought that was always a good saying.
You typically don't when you talk about this kind of stuff.
Whoa.
This is also true.
Whoa.
Oh my God. Ryan Krogi I think we've talked about this before. He still has a rotary phone at his house.
I do. I still have a Rolodex. I showed it on the last episode.
Don't do it again, please. My eyes.
No, I'm in my office. That was at my house.
Even worse. So, Mary, what kind of metrics do you use or strategies that help you measure how productive your day or week is going to be in terms of deal flow and approvals?
First is, did anything close this past week? That's the number one metric, I think, of success in production. Pipe don't pay, right, Alan? Did anything close?
And Sterling,
term sheet issue.
Make
Term
you
sheet
some
issue.
money or get you some money.
Term sheet
Get
issue.
you some money. Get your bread up.
Term sheet
Yeah.
issued.
What's moving through the process?
Term sheet issue.
What closed? You're not going to see tombstones, term sheets, or anything. Don't worry, guys. It's all just closed deals. So what closed? Did any commitment letters go out? Did anything get approved? Did you win a deal with credit? So I do look at the small wins too, right? There's 50-50 calls. Like, okay, me and the credit manager, we got together. We got it to an agreement. That's a win, right? And that to me is a piece of production. Learning also how to work with your internal teammates. That can be productive as well. Biggest thing is what closed.
Me, I like to measure, I don't do it anymore, but outbound calls. I'm a big fan. If you're thinking you're playing a sport, right? How often did you train? If you're running a marathon, it's not just about did you finish how often did you train up to the race? What were your splits? If you're not getting the reps to get the deals in, you like that one? You like that one?
Yeah, listen to Happy knowing about the splits, baby.
I know. Get those negative splits.
I got the turkey trot coming up. I got the turkey trot coming up for the bank, so I'm training.
It's after the paella.
5K?
Yeah, I got to keep the title. It's a 5K.
What are you running, Chris?
Time split wise or?
No, just the race. We don't need.
Oh, it's the turkey trot in
nice.
St. Pete. Yeah, so just want to make sure I maintain the title. Beat my chief credit officer. And that's it. But it's important you measure your reps, your outbound calls, your outbound reach. How many people are you meeting with? Because if I was talking to one of our lenders today. He's like, man, I had such a good pipeline. Now it's gone. And some of the deals fell out. I said, well, how many calls did you make when you had that hefty pipeline of term sheets out? Oh, man, I was so focused on getting those deals through the queue and trying to get them moved. I said, well, that's your problem. You weren't focused on doing the outbound calling when you had that pipeline. So you have to be consistent in your calls and your outbound efforts.
Yeah, actually, I remember when I first started on Ray's team, I made it because I was going national. I was at a very small community bank when I started in 7A. And so I think it was half internal referrals, half my own people that I knew in the industry and in this area, and then going to a national footprint. Emily, when I first met you and we were together on a team, I was so scared because I was working remote, working in this box, I call it, in my house, and didn't know anybody. How was I going to generate leads? So every day I had this 10-10-10 rule where I had to do at least 10 phone calls, 10 emails, and I did 10 handwritten notes to just people. So it was a lot of stuff.
What'd you do with the rest of your day? 10-10-10. Jesus, what are you, base rider? 10 calls? What?
Had to do it. And the worst was when
Mary.
somebody would actually pick up the phone. Because
Mary's
I would know, like,
gatekeeping.
all right, this is the voicemail I would want to say. But when somebody picked up the phone, it's like, okay, you're live. How do you sell yourself and get some deals to come in? I only had to do that, though, for like 2 months. And then I haven't had to do it since, but I should probably start again. And then the deals just started flowing in.
I'm still waiting on my handwritten note, but I do have a question for you, Mary. So in your experience, is there a difference between how female BDOs versus male BDOs are expected to manage work-life balance?
Whoa.
Sterling went
Whoa.
there.
Gosh.
Drop those.
He
Especially
did it.
as a parent.
Instigator.
Ooh.
Clickbait.
Ooh.
Click.
I've been so lucky with all of the managers that I've had in my life. Everybody's been so flexible. They know that my husband and my kids come first above everything else. And I still always got my work done and the production crewed for it. So I've been very lucky where it's not like, oh, you have to go take care of the kids. You have to do this or that. Everybody's kind of always just understood. So I'm not the best person to ask. Yeah, and I think maybe it's more of just like a parent thing, not necessarily a mom with kids, but just anybody who has children. You have to navigate that, right? Like I know, like Ryan, you coach your kids' teams. You have to navigate. Okay, you can't hop on a call with a small business owner probably at 6 o'clock on Mondays if you're coaching cross country or track, whatever it is, right? So it's just a constant battle because then you still get that call sometimes though, and then you start thinking about it, right? You have to hit decline or you have to put your phone away.
Do you know what comes in really handy there though? So a lot of my referral sources know that I coach cross country. They know that I coach track. And so I actually, you could do those custom text messages back and I will say, hey, I'm sorry I missed your call. I'm in the process of coaching track. I will call you after 5 o'clock. And it goes right to them. And 90% of the time I get a response. Oh, that's right. Oh, I forgot. No worries. Call me after 5 is good.
The human connection. Like I just got back from evacuation with 2 kids, a German Shepherd and my wife. I had Flagle, a hurricane, CLBA, a hurricane, right? And now we're back in. And I felt that my real partners, and Ryan, you talk about this a lot, like the people that I actually work with were super respectful of that whole situation. And we're like, oh, bro, you're driving from Atlanta in a Suburban with a kid that's car sick. Like, I can talk to you about this deal tomorrow. You know what I mean? And like being a human being and creating that human to human experience is actually a tool that I have. It's not something that is holding me back, you know? And I think that's important. And especially as someone who has received a handwritten note from Mary Soldano. Okay, if you guys want to hear about that real quick. Mary, you didn't think I was going to go there.
Wow.
Did you?
Wait. So just Sterling and I haven't received a note. Got it.
I think I get a Christmas card, so I one up all of you guys. So.
I got a book in the mail.
No.
But no, I know our team is out like doing the women who have children, they're out picking up their kids. It's usually like 4 o'clock. I know like if I'm trying to connect with them, do it at 5 or 6 or 3. And it's no different to me as far as a manager and leadership perspective. It makes you a human being in a way to connect. I did make the mistake and try to send them to a daycare conference just because they had kids. Like, we want to explore we want to do this.
You got
so
kids,
close.
you know that.
I think HR could have gotten involved. And I said, don't you know, you got kids, right? You like daycare loans. Go to Chicago, why don't you? Yeah. So,
that's funny.
Welcome to management.
That's really funny.
But it is a good question, right? Because, you know, I think that there are some hiring managers out there who do have these types of thoughts in the back of their mind, and they may never actually voice it to you. But, you know, if they're looking at a young woman knowing that, you know, she could potentially have 3 kids, you know, that's 3 maternity leaves that's going to be in the future, right? So if you're hiring an underwriter, for example, you know that there's potentially going to be time in the future where she's going to be gone for, 3 or 4 months at a time. I know for a fact that I know of hiring managers who have had those thoughts before and actually voiced those thoughts out loud.
Oh my gosh.
It's good to hear that, Mary, you haven't had that experience. And obviously, Chris, I know you're a great manager, so you would never put somebody through that, but it is a real thing out there that people have to do.
You know, I will. Paternity leave, I'm against. I've had a few requests, but no, I'm just kidding.
I was 7 months pregnant when I took the job at True Lion. 7 months pregnant. Yeah. And I was like terrified. I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to have a baby at a new shop, drum up new business, close deals? And it's worked out so far. But
Mary,
it was
That's
very
because you're Mary Soldano. I mean, I would rather have Mary with 3 maternity leaves than some of these other BDOs that are out here.
Krogi, I was just thinking the same exact thing. On my fantasy draft, I'm taking Soldano first round every time, with or without kids.
Some of these guys been on leave for 6 years.
I got guys on paternity leave too. That's
yeah.
all right. You can't judge that.
Yeah, paternity
We call
leave. Paternity
Base
leave.
riders. Mount
Base
up.
riders. Wait, Mary, fact or fiction? Did you not take a call while you were in labor this past baby from one of our coworkers about a deal?
Actually, I was on a work call going over a term sheet on a deal, and my water broke on that call.
That's
legendary.
awesome.
Legendary.
I love that.
So-
That is legendary.
But then
That's
we took the phone away, and it was wonderful. So
I love that.
that's super mom right there. And you're a runner. You're an avid runner. Do you have any races coming
Yes.
up? Any 5Ks, halves, fulls? What you got
we
coming
have
up?
I'm trying to get faster. So we did
Yeah.
the first marathon last year, so I'm focusing on speed this year. I'm doing a bridge 10K.
Awesome.
And it's in November. It's the Bay Bridge down in Maryland. My husband and I are doing it together. And I'm terrified because it's over a bridge, the whole thing. But
Oh, the
it'll be
whole
fun.
thing is over a bridge?
Yeah, there and back.
Oh, wow. Oh, that'd be
So,
fun.
yeah. So
You
I'm
know,
excited though.
There's a fun fact. If you ever want to do a real interesting marathon, the Detroit Marathon is the only marathon in the world
Where you don't make it
travel
back. Oh,
Hey, that's
where you
funny.
don't.
Where you can run south into Canada, and it's the only marathon in the world where you run 1 mile underwater.
Oh.
Whoa. That
Did
is
we all
cool.
just sign up?
That's
A
very cool.
mile
Are we all
underwater sounds hard.
People from
It's
Detroit are
not
used to
like.
Well,
I mean,
no,
you're
it's
in a
like
tunnel.
tunnel.
You're
That
in a
sounds
tunnel. All right.
Tunneling.
terrifying.
Oh,
I
did
missed
you-
the
You're in
tunnel
a
part.
tunnel.
I missed the tunnel part. I was like, wait, what? Like a night at Bernie's? You're just like walking underwater? I'm like, what?
I can't
Weekend
hold
at
my breath
Bernie's.
that long.
Guys, cut that out if you want. I don't even
No,
care. It's so
keep it in.
stupid.
Keep it in.
Hey,
I like it.
No. I know. And speaking of the running, that is probably the one thing that like keeps me sane. Being, full-time mom, full-time SBA 7A lender, getting that 30-minute lunch run in is like that can just bring you back to your day.
The BDO retreat, I was up at early in the morning. I think I was still up and you were getting up, right? And you're like getting ready to go like running. And that's actually where the book came from. I was like, I really want to go. I would really like to get into running. I think
Yeah.
it'd be a good thing for me. So Mary sends me a book called Shut Up and Run with a handwritten note inside that she fake signed on behalf of America's sweetheart. Shout out Ryan Collins. I knew that he didn't sign it. I'm not stupid. But it was the coolest thing ever because I go, Mary, where are you going? And she's like, obviously dressed to go running. She's like, I'm going running. I'm like, oh, yeah. That's something that you
That's
do.
hilarious.
Kroger's
That's
one
something
too, like,
that I can
you
see
know.
happen.
Yeah.
Alan coming in from the night, and
Yeah.
Mary's going out for a run.
I haven't been running, though. I've just been using weight loss drugs, but whatever. Shout outs.
Shout out to
Trizipatide.
Yeah.
Bros
That's
epic.
what we need. We need to
Rose
start
Epic.
getting sponsored by pharma drugs. Yeah.
We'll go around quickly. I know we've had a work-life balance episode in the past, but I think with the growing families and all the things we've, overcome and the conference season and the hurricanes and the traveling, why don't we all just give some parting advice on just how to keep your head level in this industry, how to not compromise family time, and how to just keep your pipeline moving. And why don't we start with Alan?
A guy once told me that this isn't hard. Roofing in Florida in August is hard. Approach the job from a place of gratitude. Don't let it get the best of you. Take on what you can and protect your time by all means. That's the trick. And sometimes that means saying no.
As much as we all love our banks, your bank doesn't love you. Okay, that's just the truth. It's a
Wow.
it's a hard fact is that this is corporate America. Okay, your bank doesn't love you. Your job doesn't love you. You will be replaced if you die today. They may send flowers and attend your funeral, and then they're going to hire someone to replace you, and the entity is going to go on and it's going to live. Right? That's just the nature of corporate America. Put it that bluntly, but the truth is that the only people who are really going to miss you when you're gone are your family. And so, don't let the job kill you. Okay,
Kill the job.
Just remember, kill the job.
Hey.
Don't let the job kill
I'm
you.
worried.
talking to me?
I gave Sterling Dustin's number earlier this week. I'm a little concerned now after that.
No, Dustin's out of
Shout out
town.
to
I don't know
I'm
how
worried
I know
about
that.
Sterling.
Yeah.
Make sure you put my placement feed through Shatterbox so you can get your investment back.
Ryan, what's your parting advice? Keep the dad jokes at a minimum.
I'll try. God, family, work. Always try to work in that order. Put that priority first. I like Mary. I like to run. It clears my mind, clears the space, kind of sets me up for the day. I do it first thing in the morning when the sun comes up. That way, my body, my mind, everything is set for all the stuff I have to handle with at work, with the family, cross country, track, everything after, with the kids at college, the kids at home, with my wife trying to find time for her and I to get away together. So yeah, being able to try to find that balance, and like Al says, be able to say no. Say no to some things, man. You have your priorities, put them in order, and make sure that you're constantly looking at them.
Protect your time, as always. Set boundaries. Be consistent with those boundaries, so the people you work with will start to understand what those boundaries are, and kill the job. Don't let the job kill you.
Yeah, I would say try to be fully present as possible that you can with your family, with your kids, with work. When you're fully present, you're going to be fully attentive. You can serve those borrowers well, and then you can just love on your kids really well too. So try to put the phone down. Don't try to email while your 2-year-old is trying to show you something stupid that they just did that they think's hilarious. Put the phone down and then pick it up when it's time to work.
And everybody knows, in order to keep these BDOs happy, always have your Thursday happy hour time booked for Ocean Prime or Meat Market. And that's that. Mary, what's your restaurant plug?
My house. My husband actually cooked for our whole team last year. It was like the best thing ever because I just had another baby and I didn't want to leave. And so I jokingly said, Ray, can everybody just come here? And he said, yeah, let's do it. So everybody came to cold Philadelphia, and so we could host everybody. And it was
With
just the best ever.
Camus in our hands. We were ready.
Yeah.
We were ready. All right, Mary, thank you so much for being on the episode today. We were kind of all over the place, but that's exactly what makes these episodes special and fun and spunky and keeps everybody excited about listening and tuning in and smashing that like button. All right, everybody, thank you for joining us. If you have questions, topics, suggestions, you just want to ask these guys anything, we'll go ahead and talk about them on the episodes. Send those over to the BDO Show at artofsba.com. And do not forget to check out our whole family of shows, including SBA Today, which airs live every week on LinkedIn, as well as our flagship program, the Art of SBA Lending Podcast, the reason the BDO Show is even here. Mary, thank you. Guys, thank you. Everybody, have a great night.
Thanks,
Peace
guys.
out.
Peace.